So, folks, without further ado, let me bring Patrick on. Patrick, it's good to have you here this afternoon. I know that it's finally turning a little bit spring here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's kind of good to see all the sunshine. Good to have you here as well.
Thank you, Eric. Much nicer here than it was here just a few days ago. Snow and sleet and ice and all kinds of stuff. Well, this is a good crowd here today, Eric. I can tell a lot of people are interested in starting their own business. And folks, this business, we'll just be upfront with you. It's not for everybody. This is one of those businesses that we tell people, look, do your due diligence. Make sure that this is the field that you want to get into. Make sure there's a future in this industry for you, and make sure that it's something you think you would enjoy doing. So we try to give you as much information as we can on these webinars so that you do have enough information to make a good decision.
Patrick, I know that you have not only have you authored some of the books, but you've also been featured on some of the what's called the Billing and Coding magazine, and then you've also been in touch with another pretty big organization called HBMA, and that's the Healthcare Billing and Management Association, and you've actually been in a lot of conversation with them here recently. But I think if you can kind of share this quote from Brad Lunn about what you've understood from them about medical billing.
Yeah, in fact, I've had articles published in their magazine as well, Eric. As you know, this is a big organization that has to do with the whole industry, not just the medical billing, but everything to do with the management of a doctor's practice. And I mean, this is a pretty straightforward quote. Look at this, folks. At no time in medical history has there been a greater need for expertise, technology, compliance assistance, and so forth. And there's simply no entity in existence. Now listen to this. There is no entity in existence positioned to meet those needs better than the third-party medical billing companies. That's you. That's who you could be. That's us. That's our licensees. Third-party medical billing companies that are out there helping the doctors.
So this company here, this HBMA, Patrick, I mean, this is a pretty big organization. I think this is actually an organization that actually does some things in Washington, and to hear this kind of quote from these people, this is pretty significant.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that it's healthcare. I mean, let's face it, healthcare is what, 1/6, 1/5 almost of the entire economy. So folks, if you're getting into some business, it's nice to know you're getting into something that is probably going to grow in the future, not shrink. And this one is definitely growing.
Absolutely. And I think we can see that here. We actually pulled this article, and I shared this with our team here today, Patrick, about the next frontier for outsourcing. Now, this is so interesting. I love the little graphic that they have here. Folks, you can see down there at the very bottom, if you want to know where you can resource this information, there it is at the very bottom. But Patrick, doctors aren't hiring billers to bill in their offices anymore, are they?
No, in fact, the move has always been, over the past decade at least, towards outsourcing that billing. Because let's face it, the people that you hire inside your office, you don't know that they're going to be with you for any length of time. And how do you keep them up on everything? How do you keep them trained on the latest changes that the government comes up with on medical billing and the insurance companies? So what doctors do, if they're smart, is they figure, I'll turn this over to somebody who this is their business. This is their core competency. And I'll focus me and my staff on our core competency, which is seeing patients.
Yeah, and we know, and we can see here, it's not just limited to outsourcing to folks here in the United States, but I mean, this is outsourcing even, as we can see, on a universal standpoint, a global standpoint here. I mean, there are doctors who are literally looking for people around the planet. It says right there, but this first part of this article says this: welcome to the brave new world of professional service outsourcing. So, we say this, and we're trying to relay this with information that we find on a regular basis. But really, Patrick, when you consider the whole part about outsourcing the medical billing, and in the business that we're in, and then the technology that we have today, not just American business systems, but we all have the technology at our hands.
Right.
It does seem like this business model is actually a good fit for a lot of people to be a home-based business.
It's the perfect home-based business, as we'll see as we go through the webinar here. But Eric, doctors outsource a lot of things in their office. They don't just outsource their billing; they outsource their window washing. They outsource their bookkeeping. They outsource their legal matters. They outsource their dictation in a lot of cases. It's the move in business in general, but specifically, doctors are realizing that they should do all that billing should be done outside the office by a staff of people who are trained to do that.
Yeah, and what we're going to share with you today, we're going to actually we've kind of looked at 5 different areas of what makes this a good home-based business or the best home business opportunity in America. Patrick, I know that we all, you and I, and here everybody else here at ABS, we're always looking at what other kind of business opportunities that they're out there. I mean, everything from scraping gum from underneath, restaurant tables to picking fleas off of people, and it's amazing some of the business opportunities that are out there.
Not fleas, lice.
Oh, lice.
Yeah, remember, there's one called Lice Busters.
Go look it up, folks. We're not even kidding. We're not even joking here, but
they're real businesses. Yeah.
But let's, so Patrick, as we look at this, why should anybody begin looking at a new business? I think these things here, these 5 topics that we're going to kind of discuss here, certainly we're all worried about the economy.
And if you haven't seen a pink slip yet, it's just a matter of time probably before you do, because everybody will agree that your job is very tenuous, right? Your employer is only going to pay you as much as they have to keep you. And at some point, they may decide there's somebody better, younger, better looking, somebody else that they could hire in your place.
And, for folks that are our age, Patrick, we're up above the 5-0 mark here.
Maybe 6-0, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are still, I mean, we don't feel like we're anywhere near through. We're not looking at retirement anytime soon. And there are a lot of people who either have gotten laid off or they've been downsized, as you've said, or the economy has shrunk, and it's just that. And then you're established in your area. Who wants to pick up and move where you've lived for so long?
Yeah.
And I think, as we'll see here at the very bottom to the left-hand side on this slide here, that this allows people to work from anywhere, and you can have clients really anywhere in the United States.
Well, and as we'll illustrate a little bit later, I'm just kind of, for those who haven't been on one of these webinars or don't understand our business model, it's basically a cloud-based system that allows you to do this business literally, like Eric said, from anywhere. You can do it from the beaches. You can do it on a cruise ship. You can go to your library and do it if you don't have a computer, because it literally just takes a computer that's connected to the internet and a browser, and boom, you're into our system and doing the billing for doctors.
I know that you like to actually talk about this, Patrick, about what these businesses here have in common. And for some folks, the 2 guys that look like they're not very happy folks. I mean, what is this picture graphic telling us here?
Well, these are pictures of products and companies that have been around in America for years and years, including Ford, P&G, IBM, Nestle's Toll House Cookies. Those things have been around for years and years, but they all have one thing in common that most people don't realize, and that is that all of them were started during a recession or a depression. And so what we're pointing out here, folks, is, for some businesses, it doesn't matter what's happening in the economy. Now, this happens to be a good business, whether the economy's good or bad or fast or slow or recession, depression, it doesn't matter, because doctors still have to get paid, no matter what.
Right, and this doesn't matter what the stock market's doing. I mean, people are still going to go to the doctor. Doctors still have to see patients, and then in the process, the doctors still have to get paid. And so, I know that we've all talked about this, and we think, as much as we know, that this type of business model is as recession-proof as we can get, as we would want to see anything here. So,
hey, by the way, I said that those 2 old guys, those 2 unhappy guys, were P&G. That's Procter and Gamble. You've probably heard of them. They're on just about every grocery shelf there is, with dozens and dozens of products. So all of those companies have been around for years. And so here's the point, guys. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing if you're in the right field. Healthcare, well, I guess as long as there's human beings and as long as human beings get sick or hurt, there's always going to be a need for doctors, and that means somebody has to get the doctors paid.
So, Patrick, what does happen when bad times occur?
Well, what happens when bad times occur is disruption. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. I have a book here that I think we're going to refer to another quote from it here in just a moment, but it has to do with businesses starting and being disrupted by different things. Look, things change, right? Government rules and regulations change. Technology comes along that wipes out some industries completely. And in these bad times, disruption happens. But that's a good thing if you think about these three things. Number one, disruption means change. There's going to be things that change when there's disruption, right? Well, only thing that you have to remember is that when things change, that means that there's opportunities presented to entrepreneurs who have the vision to see that. So all entrepreneurs seize on those opportunities, and of course, that's what makes them entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's amazing that, I mean, if anybody that's on the call today or on the presentation today, if you're an inkling of an entrepreneur, you probably watch Shark Tank quite often. And a lot of the products or the services that are actually presented to the sharks, so to say, I mean, they are based upon disruptions or changes or something needs to be fixed. It's just that's what occurs, and that's what we see, Patrick, in the medical billing business. And I think what a lot of questions come about is, Patrick, why do you think in the future medical billing is actually going to be a good business? I think in the 20 years and the 21 years you've been in this business, you said this a long time ago. How long are we going to be able to stay in this business?
Yeah, when my wife started doing medical billing back in 1987, doctors were still doing all their billing on paper. There was no electronic filing of insurance claims. And so when that came along, I realized that that was the future. And I thought, well, doctors will all be doing it electronically within 2 or 3 years, right? So that'll put us out of business because they'll know that they could do it themselves. Turns out that that's even more disruptive to a doctor's office to try to switch over to computers and figure out software and how to connect with clearinghouses and all those things that are involved in that. We've worked all that out so that people don't have to think about that. It's just done for them. And so it makes for a good thing.
Yep. And I think long gone are the days where, as our grandparents may have remembered,
Yeah.
that you could stay at a job for 35, 40, up to 50 years.
Hey, my father-in-law worked for the city of Fort Worth here for 30 years and then retired, But when he retired, of course, he wasn't making enough money, so he had to go find another job. But the point is, he got to keep that job for 30 years. Now then, today, you ask somebody, well, how long have you been on your job? And if they say more than 2 or 3 years, you go, well, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you moved on? Why are you stuck in that position with that particular company? So even though people would love to think that they never have to think about getting another job or switching industries, the reality is, Eric, as you've seen in our classes, even in last week's class, we have people come through there that went through disruption in their industry, and all of a sudden they're out on the street looking for another job. So I tell people, look, don't wait for that to happen. Get something going now so that you have something to fall back on if that pink slip does come through.
I really like what you just said there, Patrick, because we get asked a lot here, can I build this business in part-time or anything? Whether you build this business in part-time or not, at least you can come to our training. You can become a licensee, and we know this. We've had a lot of people who have kept their jobs. They've come to train. They become a licensee. They've got everything that they need because they can somewhat forecast that something's about to happen with their job. And then when that job does kind of crumble, or they see that they need to maybe pull out before it actually happens, they've already have this life vest or this lifeboat there that it's already ready to go. We've heard that several times from folks that have been licensing about.
It's just like somebody having a good job now, but they go back to college to get a degree. Well, look, if you come to our training, our license fee is a whole lot less than you'd pay for a year at college at a lot of colleges. But you get the training, you get the knowledge, you begin learning and building on this knowledge base in your head so that if that time comes that somebody says, hey, see you later, you got to go find another job. Now you've already got something that you can just ramp up and turn into a business there out of your home.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes along, and we'll move off of here real quickly, but I think this is important what we're talking about here. I think a lot of people say, well, Patrick, what is your success rate? And people think, well, as soon as they get out of the training, people are getting doctors right away. But really, what Patrick just said, Patrick, we've seen a lot of people come through this. Again, they've created that extra education for themselves. They've got set up. And as they're just going through their daily job routines, and all of a sudden they hear about, wow, there's a doctor that might need my services, they're ready to go. They're not waiting for that big disruption. They have really been a good forecaster entrepreneur to see what could actually come about.
Yeah, preparing for that inevitable time when somebody says we don't need you anymore. Don't let that happen to you. That shouldn't keep you awake at night. You should be learning some trade or some skill like this, doing medical billing for doctors, on the side, so to speak. We have a lot of people that come down there. They just take a week off from their regular job and tell them they're going on vacation or whatever, and they come down here and learn, and then they go back and start building it. We'll teach people how to do that. We've had people build this completely in their spare time while working 40, 50 hours a week.
Exactly. Well, I know that you and I both like to hear from Duncan McPherson, and we like to hear his quotes here. And Patrick, why don't you share a little bit about what you know about Duncan and what he said here about really what new job security really is?
He is with Pareto Systems, and I love the Pareto story because Pareto was a mathematician back in the 13th century, and he came up with this rule. They call it the Pareto's rule of 80-20. Everybody's heard of this probably. 80% of your salespeople in a sales force, for example, does 20% of your sales, and the 20% of the salespeople do 80% of your sales. And that's true with every other organization out there. In a church or synagogue, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, right? So he basically says that working for a traditional corporation has become the risky option. Working for yourself is the new job security. And I love that because that's exactly what we teach people, that only when you are in control of your own life, owning your own business, do you have the security that you can always have and never lose.
Exactly. And then we've all heard of Robert Kiyosaki, and even from his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then I think you've got a new book here as well, but let's talk about his first book here, Rich Dad. He says the number one thing people can do to increase their wealth is to start a part-time business. Well, that's what we've been talking about, Patrick, is just to start the part-time business. But I think the book that you were just showing there is his new book there.
Well, he's quoted in this new book. This is from Entrepreneur Press, which we've mentioned several times. They have a magazine called Entrepreneur Magazine. They've been around for 35 years. And they say in this book, Start Your Own Business, he gives a quote from that, and you've got it on the screen right there. Entrepreneurs enjoy a freedom that few ever know. Starting your own business is one of the few remaining paths to wealth. Eric, unless you've inherited a lot of money, or you are currently a professional with some letters after your name, or unless you rob a bank, where do you get wealth in today's world? He says starting your own business is one of the few remaining paths to wealth. So there's a good encouragement because he is a multimillionaire.
Well, the other thing about starting your own business and having your own business and doing things like that is that at least I think a lot of people say this in their minds, and I kind of refer back to your book, just change the way that you're thinking here. But people think, well, if I take this risk, what if I fail? Well, there's a sure guarantee not to fail. Don't do anything.
Yeah, well, that's right. If you don't do anything, you're bound to fail. That's a guarantee that you're going to fail.
Right.
But, if you do something on a regular basis in any business, unless you give up or quit, you haven't failed, right? So that's why when people ask us about our licensees, we tell them we don't have any failures unless somebody just gives up. And of course, that's possible. But folks, with our support, with our hand holding, with our coaching, with our mentoring, our ongoing webinars, You can't give up. You can't fail because we're going to continue to work with you until you find whatever number of clients you need to make the kind of living that you need to make.
Exactly. And I think we've all seen this, and you actually talked about failures. And just because you open up a Subway sandwich shop doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have instant success either. I think you had a buddy of yours or a friend of yours that actually opened up a couple of Subways, but
Yeah, he said
really
he
was
wanted
making
to,
his
he said
return
he wanted to
on
make a
investment.
six-figure income. Yeah, he said, I want to make a six-figure income, so I'm going to start a Subway sandwich shop. Well, I guess he didn't do his due diligence because the average Subway sandwich shop owner only makes about $45,000 a year. So he had to open up two more, three total. And so imagine you're working 80 hours a week with teenagers. I don't get it. That's not
So
my
we're talking
goal.
about here. So we're talking about here, home versus brick and mortar type of a place. But with that said, Patrick, you've actually pulled this quote here before from the past from Senator Olympia Snowe. Why don't you go ahead and share this one with everybody?
Yeah, there's no shame nowadays, folks, in running a home business. In fact, there's thousands of home businesses out there all across America. With the technology we have today, you don't have to work for anybody other than just work for yourself out of your home if you have the right vehicle. And as she says here, Americans need more options to help them provide for their families. And the ability to work from home is an essential means of achieving that goal. So, folks, we're just trying to validate for you that even though ours is what we think of as a home based business, at least for a lot of our licensees, it can be run out of your home, and then we have many licensees who've opened commercial office space as well as they grow. So keep it as small as you want or build it as large as you want.
And because of the technology that we do have, it does allow you just to basically work from anywhere because I think we figured out the little picture that's on the left hand side, well, that's basically the picture of the cloud right there. So if you can get a Wi-Fi connection, you can run this business from anywhere.
Yeah, when you hear that term, the cloud, at first people go, what are you talking about? It's not literally in a cloud. It's just a place where the data is stored. So our system, for example, software does not get installed on your local computer. That's server-based software that comes on a CD and you install it. Not ours. You simply go to any browser like you're in right now watching this, and you go to a particular website and you have the login that we give you, and boom, you're connected to our system and running it as smoothly as if it were right on your own computer. So that picture on the left there is a picture of the servers where the software resides. You connect to it like it shows there through a web Wi-Fi connection, and you're running our software literally from the cloud.
There you go. Now, before we start getting into some of the market research, we've talked about this, and it's been a long time, Patrick, since we've talked about this, the difference between a franchise and a business opportunity. Just in a quick nutshell, can you just give us a quick snippet about what is a franchise, what is a business opportunity, and why ABS is a business opportunity?
Well, our particular opportunity is a license. That is, you license our systems from us to be able to go out and market them. You license all of the marketing materials that we've developed. You license all the webinars. You're licensing the use of our system. But the difference is that you're not going to be paying us any kind of royalties on an ongoing basis, and you're not limited to any kind of particular territory as well. So there's lots of reasons. And as Eric is showing here, there's lots of different businesses, of course, out there that are franchises that are going to charge at least what we charge for an upfront franchise fee, then a percentage of the gross revenue that you bring in. Each and every month you have to cut a check to that company for that 6 to 8% or whatever it is.
And it's because basically all those pictures that we just showed there is because there's a franchise or a trademark or some logo that you have to carry. That's not the way it is with us, right, Patrick? I mean, they're not actually having to pay to keep the American business logo on their business.
That's right. Although we do license the use of our individual private labeled names of our services, you still don't have to pay any kind of royalties on those trademarks each month. And of course, right, the cost is a whole lot difference there as well. Like it says here, the initial fees of $30 or more with a total business investment of $50,000 for most franchises. You take a brick and mortar one like Subway, and you got 75 to 100,000 just in building out the retail space.
Right. And ours is what we would consider to be low enough that folks can literally put this on a credit card or a couple of credit cards. We have lots of people that get their business started up like that. We've known a lot of outside of this kind of business model, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of successful entrepreneurs have started their businesses on credit cards. So it's just another way. I guess you're going to share about.
Yeah, by the way, this book even recommends that for a lot of small businesses with smaller investments of 50,000 or less, a lot of business owners nowadays are financing their business on their credit cards. It's an instant line of credit that you don't have to go and beg, borrow, and steal from the bank.
And then one of the other differences is the training. And I know that with franchises, they're supposedly give you some training, but business opportunities, a lot of that training can just be done maybe online or through some videos. I think this is where ABS really differs from other business opportunities. I mean, we just finished up the training from last week. Talk about that real quickly,
We
Patrick.
had a fellow in the training last week that said that very thing, that he had just spent approximately what our license fee is on another business that he started. And he said, Patrick, this was halfway through the week. He said, Patrick, they didn't cover near what you guys have covered from the marketing standpoint. We learned about the nuts and bolts of the product and services that we had, but nothing about how to go out and get clients and build a business. And half of our week, Eric, as you know, is on that topic of how do I actually get clients because hey, anybody can teach you how to do medical billing. It's not rocket science or brain surgery, but
Right.
to get a business up and running, that's where we specialize.
Exactly.
So we've got the
All right.
live training here in Dallas that's 5 days, and then we also have ongoing webinars that we do on a regular basis. We're doing one day after tomorrow on Friday for our licensees. That we'll talk a little bit more about the lady who's doing that one here in just a minute.
Sure. All right. So I think for a lot of people, maybe for some of the reasons they even tuned in today, is for the fact about the next slide that we're going to be talking about here. This is where we're going to talk about a little bit about the medical billing market research. Um, Now, Patrick, I know that a lot of people have asked us in the past, hey, can I go do market research? Or I'm going to go do a little bit of market research on my own. Um, Black Book Rankings is a third party. We don't even know who they really are, except that they're like it says, they're impartial, they're accurate, and they go out and do these pollings and these surveys and all this market research. And one of those areas that they do that in is in medical billing. So I'm going to just kind of go through these next slides here. So I've kind of set you up. As we start talking about now, these are the three that we're going to show everyone is basically the top three that we've seen that are very, very particular to this business model. So let's go to the first one here, Patrick, and kind of talk us through what this first percentage is talking about here.
Yeah, look, it's 87% of all physicians state a preference for a single source vendor for their RCM and EHR software systems. So let's see what that means. RCM, Eric, what is an RCM?
Yeah, revenue cycle management. So that's their revenue cycle management platform. So that would be like you'll see here in just a moment. That would be considered to be like our iClaim, because from iClaim, the doctors can run their office for their to keep all their patient demographics. The billing can happen from there. Everything happens from there, and then EHR stands for the electronic health records, or EMR systems, or electronic medical records. So, Patrick, what we see here on this medical research here is um, that their doctors are actually looking for not two separate companies, not two separate softwares, but those that are actually integrated together.
Yeah, Eric, when people ask us, what is it that makes you guys stand out in the marketplace? I tell them, well, this is one of the things. You'll find that a lot of medical billing companies that are out there right now are going to go out of business because they have not integrated their revenue cycle management, their billing system, with the electronic health records that the doctor uses. And without having that completely, totally integrated in one system, that's going to cause all kinds of headaches for them and the doctor. So people have to realize that it's very important that you're dealing with somebody who has an established integrated system like we do with both the electronic records and the billing all in one system.
Yeah, and I wish we had the time to go another hour today. I know we're going to be running out of time here quickly, but Patrick, you know that I did a demo with a doctor just not too long ago who had three different separate software companies that she was dealing with: an
Yes.
EMR system, an RCM system, which is the revenue cycle management or the practice management system, and a third party vendor clearinghouse system. And
What a headache.
her problem, her headache, her biggest pain of point of pain was that all three of them don't work together.
Yeah, all companies that are in our market space in the past that have gone out of business, by the way, most of them were doing that very thing, Eric. They were trying to have three different entities: the billing software, the electronic health record software, and the clearinghouse, all work together behind the scenes by piecing and patching everything together. That doesn't work. So people who think that they can buy software and then hook up with a clearinghouse themselves on their own, what a nightmare.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving on. This one's actually increased a little bit. 89% of all physician practices agree their billing and collection systems need upgrading. But that's a pretty big percentage, Patrick.
Yeah, the 89%, that means that they're not happy. And that gives you a wide open door, folks, to come in there and show them a system that is totally integrated, that has everything they need, and that's HIPAA compliant, and that meets all the meaningful use rules and regulations of the government, and gives them a patient portal on top of all that.
Exactly. And then this last one, 42% of all physician practices, and these are practices that are less than 5 doctors, so 1 to 5 doctors we're talking about, hope to outsource their billing in the next 12 months. Factors, that's almost half of the practices that are out there that are doctors that are 1 to 5 doctors.
Yeah, so you've got literally thousands of prospective clients out there, folks, and we're not limited to 5 doctors. This
No.
survey just limited their questions to those types of practices. We have licensees who've signed up practices that have 30 and 40 and 50 doctors in the practice. But the nice thing is that 42% of even these smaller practices are looking to outsource their billing. Well, folks, what else are you looking for other than a wide open market? That's called a window of opportunity.
Exactly. And then all those percentages that we've got coupled there with this. Now, this came from the American Academy of Professional Coders.
That's right.
Industry's experts have found that the average number of rejected claims for a medical practice averages about 34%. What does that mean, Patrick?
Well, it means 1/3 of all the claims that are submitted to the insurance companies are rejected for one reason or another. And there's lots of reasons why they find to reject those claims. And when they do, they come back to the practice. And because they have another 40, 50 claims that they have to file today, they don't get back to looking at those claims many, many times. And they have to write all that off at the end of the year. So they're losing literally sometimes up to $100,000 in a practice is lost because they don't have the right technology and the right people that have been trained correctly to get those claims processed. Our rejection rate is a lot less than that.
Exactly. We're about to show that to you. And what we want to show you now is some of the advantages of what you would have as an ABS licensee. And Patrick, one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, what about the competition with all these other software systems that are out there? What about those? I say, I'm a little biased here, but I say our technology blows out the competition, and we're going to show you and demonstrate that to you right now. So
well, our system, for one thing, the electronic medical record system, we call it EMRX, that is was originally designed for the iPad before the iPad was released. And
exactly.
Doctors love the iPad because it's thin, it's lightweight, it's easy to use, and they walk around and use this in their encounters directly with the patients. They love it. Nobody else has that.
Yeah, so we just shared with you what the average rejection rate is throughout America, and that was from the American Academy of Professional Coders, 34%.
Right.
Ours is less than 2%. Now, folks, if you just do the math there, if you can demonstrate this to the doctors, and we can help you demonstrate this to the doctors, of this reduction of rejection rate here, you've made a big impression on those doctors so far.
Yeah, and that's our nationwide average. We know that from all the doctors that all of our licensees are processing the claims, the average is less than 2%. So, folks, you can actually tell the doctor that that is our national average. If they can picture in their mind the difference between 34% and 2%, that's a lot of money in their pocket that they're not seeing now.
Exactly. So what we're demonstrating here on this is pulling everything together. So if what you can see here is that we pulled in iClaim. You can see that little building that kind of looks like a building in there. That's the way that we can demonstrate that we own our own clearinghouse. So that's less of one of those third-party vendors out there. To the right is our EMRX, and then at the very bottom is our patient portal. So within the next 10 minutes here, we're going to kind of go through this as quickly as we can so we can get to some of your questions because those questions are coming in, and we certainly want to have some more as we go through this. But Tim, we're going to get to your question. Sue, we're going to get to your question here in a moment. But for time's sake, we're going to go through this information here pretty quickly. So we're going to look at what the whole system looks like here. So Patrick, as we're looking at this, we have iClaim, EMRX, Clearinghouse, Patient Portal. Pull all this together for us.
Well, again, having this all in one system through one company and not having to deal. Hey, it's the same problem you have when you have a problem on your PC. You call Dell and they say, well, that's not our problem. That's Microsoft's problem. Go talk to Microsoft. You go to Microsoft and they go, well, that's a hardware problem. Go ask Dell. You see, we can't pass the buck, Eric. The buck stops here. That's why we have a less than 2% rejection rate. Is we deal with it ourselves and we take ownership of those claims to make sure the doctor gets every penny that's due them.
Now, I know that in past webinars we've kind of gone over a little bit in some detail that we've kind of go through each component of all the different services. Today what we're going to try to do is take you on a demo without being in a real time. So folks, if you'd like to see a demo of how all this works, any of us here at ABS can certainly do that. We would love to do that for you. However, we're just going to start off with iClaim. We're going to kind of show you a few of the key components that really separates us and why we, and Patrick and everybody else here will say, where we blow out the competition. Because, folks, we already know that there's other billing systems out there. But where we make the difference, where iClaim makes the difference, where you as an ABS licensee makes the difference is about what I'm about to show you here. So Patrick, let's just do this because what I want to show here is one of the first things that we would ever show a doctor. Before I do that, you want to explain what I mean by that? I think you want to maybe just share what we do as support for our licensees real quickly.
Yeah, when he mentions a demo, for example, that's not just for you who are looking at getting into our business, but one of the services that we offer to you as a part of your license fee, no additional cost ever, is we do the demos of our system for you, the licensee, and for the doctor. So we get online and actually show the doctor exactly what all the advantages are in the technology that you'll be using to solve their revenue cycle management solution problems.
And you know, Patrick, I think a lot of people, I hope you can grasp this. Everybody that's on the call today, listen to what Patrick and I are about to say. This whole business that we're in is not just medical billing. We've said it's called revenue cycle management. And revenue cycle management begins somewhere. And Patrick, it begins with that office or you as the medical billing company helping that office simply register a patient in the system.
Yes, because garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you've got it totally electronic, it means that you reduce the human error that's involved. And Eric's going to show you exactly how that works in our system to make sure that all the data is pulled from the insurance company's database, not having to put that in manually.
I mean, we've all been to the doctor. We fill out those pieces of papers of forms, and we do it a lot of times when we're sick. And we hand that over to somebody that's behind that bulletproof glass, right?
Right.
And they have to take that and actually type that information in. We're going to eliminate that for that doctor's office. So here's one of those key points of advantages that we can show you right now. So instead of someone physically typing in that information, we're going to kind of blow this up here where it says register a new patient. You can see here I've got it to the left-hand side. You can register a new patient by actually typing that information in, or click this button here where it says eligibility request. And what happens there, it's going to bring you over to this section here. Now, if you can imagine, all we need from that patient is what payer they're with or what insurance company they're with, whether it be Aetna, Medicare, Medicaid, United Healthcare. We select that from there for the payer, and then we come down here and we put a subscriber ID. What basically is what's on the card. So if we've got a card from Aetna, there's the card, and then there's that subscriber ID. You look it up, and what happens there is our system goes to Aetna, brings that information back into our system where we have here where it says Isabella Stevens. Now we've captured this information. But the great thing about this is, and one of the greatest things that we can do for you in demonstrating to your potential doctor is, we tell them, watch what happens next. When we click this button right here where it says create chart, we can automatically bring all that information here and create a patient chart, bringing all of their information in here, their correct spelling of their name, the correct phone number that that insurance company has, the correct address, and then it brings in all the insurance information in there at one time. And we're talking reducing what would normally take a front office staff to do 15, 20 minutes. We've reduced that down to less than 30 seconds total. That's pretty impactful right there.
Yeah, and Eric, when we mentioned earlier that there was a 34% rejection rate nationwide in doctors' offices, this is one of the reasons why, because just one small human error in the inputting of that data about that patient, and the insurance company is going to say, sorry, we need this corrected, so they'll send it back. That's a rejection. This is one of the reasons why our rejection rate is less than 2%.
Right. And we all know the longer that we have to go try to chase money, the more expensive that becomes, which actually means a reduced amount of money that that doctor's actually getting. So if we can proactively help that doctor get that done, the better off. Secondly, our EMR system is based, again, it's all embedded, it's all integrated, and a lot of people have asked that it has a little bit of knowledge about medical billing. Are you ICD-10 ready? You can see that button right there where it's next to ICD-9. And folks, this is a big winning solution here as well. And again, this is why we want to do those demonstrations for you. And we can do it on a regular laptop or desktop, or we can actually show those doctors how it can be used on an E8 or a little iPad here. But again, we want to demonstrate here just real quickly that we're already set up for ICD-10 conversion. Now, Patrick, we know that that conversion is actually going to happen this October. And we've had questions in the past. Are you ICD-10 ready now?
Can I explain what ICD means?
Please, yes.
All right. So these are the codes that you've heard about. Everybody says, okay, do I have to know about the codes that are involved? Because everybody knows that there's some numbers that relate to the diagnosis or what the doctor finds wrong with the patient. This is what those are, the International Classification of Diseases. Everything that's wrong with the human body has been classified under some number. And so what Eric is saying, that we're currently under the ICD-9, that's version 9 of those codes, but that they're switching on October 1st of this year to ICD-10. Well, guess what? Most software systems are not ready for that. And the doctors are not ready, are they, Eric?
And neither are the doctors. That is crucial, very crucial.
We are, and he's showing you that right here, that not only can you see the current codes, but by pushing a button, the doctor can actually see the codes that he will be using on October 1st.
Exactly. And so, folks, what we've shown you so far, again, we're showing you that we're well ahead of the game, and you can be well ahead of the game as well. And then finally, as we get into this last part of it, this is kind of bringing everything together. And now we're talking about the clearinghouse. And again, for time's sake, we're going to kind of go through this, but this brings everything together here. The clearinghouse is just simply a way in which the claims in and of themselves get processed and formatted to actually send to those insurance companies. Something very unique here, though. whenever you process a claim, it's got to go through a clearinghouse, and that clearinghouse could reject it, but sometimes it can accept it and let it go, and then it could be rejected at the insurance company.
Right.
Our built-in clearinghouse can eliminate those rejection rates. That's why we can bring that down to that 2% there.
So again, folks, for most doctors' offices and most billing companies, they have to get set up. Their software has to interface with a clearinghouse, and there's a half a dozen of them out there that you could use. Once you figure out whether or not your system can be used by that clearinghouse, now you have to actually do the hookup behind the scenes to make sure that everything works correctly. So these are third-party companies outside your software company, outside you, that you now have to depend on. And that's why, again, the rejection rate is so high for most doctors. They're depending on that third party to interpret the data that your system sends to the clearinghouse.
I love this last sentence that we have down here, Patrick. This provides you, as an ABS licensee, a unique difference in the market. This separates you from everybody else. This is where we leave the competition behind than any other medical billing service, simply due to the lower rejections and the expedient reimbursements that the doctors get back. Patrick, how long does it normally take a doctor to get paid on a regular billing system?
Oh, gosh, it could be 30, 45, 60 days, in some cases 90 days, and I've heard of.
Right. And we can bring it down to 7 to 10, maybe as high as 14 days, but we can just say less than 2 weeks.
Well, we've seen it come in, submit a claim on Monday and have it paid in the doctor's bank account on Friday. So, yeah, it just depends on the insurance company, of course.
And then the last portion of it that we want to share with you here, we kind of talk about all these being a stool, a four-legged stool now, really secure, really solid now. It's like a chair. We're not sitting in a three-legged chair, but we've got a four-legged chair here, very secure, very stable now. We have a patient portal, and what's great about this is that the doctors can give a patient access to all their medication records via a secured web portal that they can get into that patient, and not only can they just retrieve that information, but you can get all your medication records. You can, even as you're checking in to the doctor, like if you were going to go check in at an airport, so you can get that extra seat moved up there. This is actually going to help it make your visit at the doctor's office even better, because the patient's filling in all this information and medication history, medical history, surgical history, all of that can be done. Now, Patrick, we know that what we've kind of just shared here in the last 10 minutes here, people's brains may be kind of circling right now.
Yeah, that's why we do these demos, not just for you and your doctors, your potential clients, but for you. As somebody who's looking into our business, we know that you're interested in knowing more about what our technology is all about. What is it that is it leading edge, or is it old DOS-based or Windows-based software? No, this is the latest cloud-based software that runs on any computer, by the way. Windows, Apple, Macintosh computers, it doesn't matter, folks. As long as you've got a device that hooks up to the internet, you can use our systems.
So if any of this has interested you and you want to see this actually really you want to see the workflow of what we've done and see this in real time, not just in some slide screenshots or in the abbreviated time that we've had here during the webinar today, call us. We will be happy to set up a demonstration for you to see it. To me, Patrick, this is a lot of people, it's kind of like us going to try to buy a car and we can't test drive it.
Right.
Folks, this is the best way for you to test drive what we have here. So let us do this for you. We would be happy to do that.
Yeah, and
I think, Patrick,
it's not
go ahead.
By the way, it's not a sales pitch. We're not trying to get on the phone so we can close you. Folks, this is your decision. And like I said at the very beginning, this business is for some people. It may not be for you. One of the ways you can know that for sure is to get this demo so you can actually see it and ask all the questions you want about our business during that demo.
Exactly. And then I think, Patrick, as we kind of come to the close here, you and I have all talked about, especially here, everybody that is the ABS family. We talk about another thing that kind of separates us from a franchise, even business opportunities, and that is the money-back guarantee. let's talk through this. We've got a few more minutes here, and then we can take some questions and answers. But this is what's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, we didn't have this up until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and we decided at one point that we knew what we had. We knew it was so good that we could offer a guarantee of some sort. And many of my staff wanted to say, well, look, let them come to the first day of training, and if they don't like what they see, they can go home and get their money back. I said, no, the only way they'll know for sure is to see everything we have, all of our proprietary secrets and information about marketing. They need to see it all. And then at the end of the training week, if for any reason they decide this is not the right business for them, they simply can ask for their money back, and we're going to give it to them. In fact, I'm going to put the money in an attorney's trust fund so that we can't even touch it as a company until somebody is 100% satisfied that this is what they want to move forward with. So, folks, you can see there's no weasel words in that guarantee. That's exactly what it says in our agreement that you'll sign with us. Ask for a copy of the agreement and see for yourself.
So, folks, if you want to more than just take that one step and kind of go through the demo, test drive that car, you really want to take it on a trip, so to say. That's why we've got this listed here in our agreement. We want you to come to the training. First of all, we want you to meet us personally. Get to know who we are. Get to know who our trainers are, because the trainers are previous who are actually licensees currently today. And so we want to be able to help you through that. And folks, again, we are a little partial, a little biased here because of some of the things that we've been able to share with you. And that's why we believe here at American Business Systems, what we have here as a business opportunity really makes this one of the best business opportunities in America.